Operating an IBM card sorter back in the day required equal amounts of hand dexterity and patience, which prevented most computer operators from thinking about anything else while tending to the immediate needs of the temperamental technology. Hello and welcome. Thank you, sitting right there, for spending a chunk of your time with me and my gang of nine today. My name is Raymond Schaff, and I'm the author of Confessions of a Level 9 Nerd. You can buy a copy online at Amazon.com. Read the book. After you read the book, you can use it as a doorstop at your house. People tell me it's just thick enough to shove under most doorways. Too thick? Just tear out some pages and kick it under the door until it's snug and tight. Near the end of this video, as you will see, all the requirements for being a level 1 through level 9 nerd are displayed for a few seconds so you can hit the pause button. For those old timers watching this video, the acronym EAM was used to describe a variety of first generation electronic accounting machines. I use the term in this chapter to describe unit record equipment. You know, sorters, collators, interpreters, key punch machines, blah, 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 blah. Currently, IBM refers to EAM as Enterprise Asset Management. Sometime in the distant future, the acronym EAM will once again change, as change is the driving force behind pretty much everything. Now let's begin this adventure as we sort our way through thousands of IBM punched data cards found in Chapter 11, sorting it all out. Distracted by my 26th birthday, long enough to put a computer manual down, I accepted an offer to work for a large government data center. The fact that their matched pair of IBM mainframe computing systems were 25 years younger than me and shared insatiable demands for newer and faster made the decision a no-brainer. The twin speedsters were the focal point of a sprawling computer complex that pumped out streams of data 24/7. A nerd's paradise. Assigned to the swing shift, I hit the ground running on my first day, skidding to a stop in the data center's EAM room. It was a small room packed with refrigerator-sized computing components that punched, sorted, and more often than I cared to remember, mutilated data cards. The data center's EAM equipment carried the fleeting title of legacy hardware, a term used to describe state-of-the-art technology whose speed of light, aging, pushed its design through the cutting edge of oblivion. The proud electronic accounting machines of yesterday have long since taken their place on carpeted pedestals in computer museums scattered around the globe. You can see them displayed together with recent legacy branded acquisitions, computing equipment that is identical to what you are using in your home right now. A weekly task that plagued the EAM room consisted of sorting employee time cards. The sorting process began at the onset of Tuesday afternoons with the delivery of multiple metal trays packed tight with thousands of the cards from our payroll department. The physical operation of EAM equipment required substantial hand dexterity, undivided attention to detail, and great quantities of patience. Having the first two skill sets in spades qualified me to stay in the game. My patience, on the other hand, ran out faster than the data cards flying through the machines. The elongated process required cramming fistful after fistful of data cards, employee time cards that is, into a temperamental IBM 083 high-speed card sorter. The task required finessing thousands of time cards through the card sorter without getting any of them folded, spindled, or mutilated by the card sorter itself. The process began with the removal of shrapnel left behind by payroll department employees who physically abused the cards while in their possession. The trail of debris included rubber bands, paper clips, staples, scraps of paper wedged between, around, and through the trays of time cards. Gone undetected, the small pieces of junk could wreak havoc inside the narrow entrance throat of our high-speed card sorting machine. On a normal day, it took 20 minutes to run all the time cards through the sorter in order to complete one pass. The 12 separate passes required to complete the sorting process gobbled up more than half of my swing shift. The ear-piercing noise emanating from the card sorter machine anesthetized my brain after a few minutes and induced mild shock to my entire body after an hour of continuous operation. The perfect job for a rookie. The glow of working in computing technology began to dull after 6 months of non-stop EAM room assignments. I began my Tuesday afternoon swing shift with a minimal amount of enthusiasm while accepting the fact I would be responsible for the employee time card sorting process for the umpteenth time. 2 hours into the massive sort, I decided to pause and reward myself with a break for experiencing just one single sorter jam. I powered off the machine and glanced down at the decks of time cards that filled each of the sorter's temporary holding pockets. They reminded me of a paranoid computer programmer I knew who used a ballpoint pen to ink his password on the top end of a brand new deck of poker cards. Demonstrating the skill and dexterity of a professional card dealer, he shuffled the marked cards until his hand-lettered passwords turned into a series of meaningless dots on the top surface of the deck. This was his way to hide his personal password from prying eyes. To reveal his password required manually reassembling the deck of poker cards back into their original ascending sequence from the factory. This was a time when a single password would last longer than a computer. Inspired by the clever visual encryption process, I mimicked his idea to break the boredom of my marathon time card sorting. Keeping the current sorting order sequence intact, I pulled the partially sorted time cards out from the machine's holding pockets and placed them back into their steel delivery trays. I jostled the trays in a way that created a smooth top surface area similar to the level top of a fresh deck of playing cards. Using a thick black felt-tip marking pen, I hand-lettered a few choice phrases related to being the swing shift rookie stuck with the thankless task of sorting thousands of employee time cards every Tuesday evening. Energized by the colorful metaphors scribed on the tops of the time cards, I fired up the sorting machine and continued with the massive sorting task. Each subsequent pass through the card sorter caused a slight change in the sequence of the time cards, which in turn began to morph my hand-printed messages into meaningless specks of ink on the tops of the time cards. At the conclusion of the multi-hour sorting job, I took silent pleasure in being the only person privy to the interpretations of the speckled patterns adorning the tops of the time cards packed into each tray. The following morning, a payroll department courier who forgot to engage his brain during working hours somehow managed to flip over the cart laden with trays of my sorted employee time cards. The resulting tapestry of chaos carpeting the computer room floor annihilated my multi-hour battle with the card sorter the prior evening. Little did I know that the chaotic mess would also lead to a verbal confrontation with my supervisor. The day shift computer operations team gathered up the spilled time cards and spent hours in the EAM room replicating my previous evening sorting efforts. When I arrived to work the following afternoon, my shift supervisor called me aside to have a little talk about our responsibilities as custodians of confidential information at the computer center. His discussion focused on the fact that the day shift computer operations staff noticed midway through the time card resorting process that the random ink spots on the tops of the cards aligned in such a way as to reveal hand-printed phrases not associated with the normal conversation of the day. Apparently, the day shift computer operations supervisor did not share my sense of encrypted nerd humor. A crisp conversation about professionalism and work attitudes concluded with a promise from me that I would refrain from writing on the tops of employee time cards from that point forward. I kept my promise for several months until a new hire relieved me of my rookie status joining our swing shift team. While introducing him to the finer points of our IBM OD3 high-speed card sorting machine, he asked about the hundreds of small ink spots on the bottom edges of the employee time cards he had just started sorting. I advised him not to worry, they would all sort out in the end. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. And now it's time to open my wall safe for a safe, off-the-wall story about holding on to something that is lost. It was 3 a.m. at the data center as I stood next to an IBM customer engineer who was working on a particularly difficult problem we were having with one of our mainframe devices. He had been working on one of our 6 high-speed tape drive units for an hour and had the parts to the unit scattered neatly around the table next to the device. I watched as he methodically opened several toolkits looking for a long-necked Phillips screwdriver he needed to fix a loose component causing the problem. It took him a minute to realize he was using the missing screwdriver in his hand to dig through his toolboxes trying to locate his missing screwdriver. When he realized his mistake, he looked over at me and smiled, saying it was time for a quick cup of coffee. Two hours into the missive sort. Missive? Where'd that come from? Cut! 2 hours into the massive sort, I decried to pause my brain. Decried. Cut! 2 hours into the massive sort, I decided to pause and reward myself with a break. Really? Cut!